All right, so this is going to be a very intro class to Rome so you can kickstart your Zettelkasten. I'm going to be your host, Dan. If you don't know about me, you can check my website at dansylvester.com or this YouTube channel as well. So I've been using Rome since January 2020, and I've checked that it was quite funny because I'm not a paid user, because when I joined Rome, it was actually free. And so I stayed grandfathered in that plan. So I became a paid user of Rome very recently because I had to create another database for this course specifically. So here on the right, you can see the graph of all the connections that I have in between my notes. And the way that I think about Rome is I love the app because it mimics the way that you think. So it doesn't force you to do anything that you want in terms of structure. It's system capable, but it's going to do that very quickly for you, very fast by itself, by just using, for example, tagging or connecting pages like that. And what that allows you is you're going to stumble upon the pages a lot more because Rome itself promotes discovery of ideas that you have saved in the past, and then you're going to allow you to make better connections. So for me, I do a lot of writing either in the blog or for scripts for YouTube and stuff like that, courses, products, and so on. So Rome really allows me to, first of all, think better when I jot down things in my Zettelkasten. Then that helps me write better. And at the end, the output of what I produce comes a little bit better just because of all the connections that I make in Rome. Now, there are a lot more note-taking apps, namely Evernote and also Notion. Now, I also use Evernote and Notion, but I think they have different use cases. So I use Evernote as sort of a filing cabinet system. So if I have like a plane ticket, I'll chuck it into Evernote, or things that I want to save perpetually for life. And then I can go into Evernote and just check those things. So it's a very specific use case. I joined Evernote a long time ago. It was probably the first app that really, to me, changed the way that you take notes and the way that you save things into a specific app. But over the last few years, I think it has become a little bit too clunky for me, to the point that now it's just a little too hard to open Evernote and just check something. So if I have to put something on Evernote specifically, for example, on my phone, like I take 2 or 3 seconds to just remain calm because I know it's going to take so long. And then I use Notion very extensively, probably even more than Rome, but I use it in a different context because Notion doesn't have bidirectional linking, or it has now, but it's not native. It is not thought that way first, but it's thought in a way of databases. And so the way that I use Notion is for collaborative work with my team. For example, Kanban boards to organize all the videos that we have on the pipeline, or work on products together, collaborate on those things, make sure that we have the projects and the areas that we're going to tackle in the next 3 months all in there. So Notion, I use it very extensively for that because I think databases really work better in Notion. I think it was designed for databases first. Also, I host a lot of my products there because, for example, the Brain OS, where I have all my book summaries, is a very easy thing to put in Notion, whereas then you can have a main database or a main table with all the book summaries, and then you can organize them or separate them by category, for example, psychology or finance books, reading from the source of being the main table. But that is to say that those two apps are not perfect in terms of note-taking because, again, they don't promote discovery. They are systems capable, but they force you to use a certain type of hierarchy. For example, Evernote forces you to use folders, which I think are called workbooks in Evernote. And Notion forces you to use workspaces and then folders within folders. Now, Rome doesn't have folders. Everything lives everywhere, and then it's up to you to make the connections that you think are the better connections that you can make, right? So the 3 things that I really use for Rome for are input, processing, and action. So input is basically anything that I want to chuck it in Rome really fast. So information storage, quick capture, all of that, I just put it in Rome really fast. Then you have processing, which is you're going to make something out of your input, or you're going to make something out of your brain. So for example, note-taking, all the articles that I'm reading or podcasts that I'm listening to, or the videos that I watch on YouTube and I take notes on it, right? Then I have journaling, which is just basically your basic journaling of things going in my life. And then I also use it extensively for brain dumps if I have to think of a specific topic and I'm kind of a little bit stuck on that and I want to do a brain dump. I also use Rome for that. And then finally, you have the output, the action. So there's actually something coming out of the input and the processing. And for me, that means writing. And I do a little bit of task management, but not in the way that you think I would use task management. So I don't manage all my tasks in there, but I use it for specific use cases that I'm going to discuss later on in this class. So those are the three things that I use Roam for. And the way that I think about any tool is you got to think of your specific use case that you want to use. And the way that I think about Roam is, in the end, I wanted to output some writing and that I don't forget some of the things that I have to do. That has to be some sort of output. Otherwise, it's very easy to learn a new tool and learn everything that you can do with it, but then not a specific use case for you. So for example, in Notion, my use case is, for example, one of them, I want to publish YouTube videos. So anything that doesn't help me in Notion do that, I don't need to learn. Now, why is this important? Because Roam has so many features that you can use, so many, and more coming every day. Because I think Roam was launched last year or something like that, beginning last year, probably the end of the year before. But it's a very new tool. And so every week, probably every month, there are like hundreds and hundreds of new things in Roam or new templates. But the point is, I don't know most of those things. I don't know 90% of what you probably could know about Roam. All I know, and all I need to know really, is what is going to help me to my output. Now, I think that is a little bit of a weird topic to start talking at first, but once you keep that in mind, once you keep your use case, then you'd know that you only need a certain specific set of things that you need to learn. And the way that I think about any tool is like that. And once you start by learning or thinking about like that on a tool first, then you know you don't need to know a lot of things. When you open Roam, let's open Roam right now. So this is the first page that you see in Roam, right? It has a date of today, March the 10th at the top, and then a bullet and a blinking cursor here. And there's no set of instructions. I remember the first time I opened Roam, so January 2020, I opened Roam, everybody was talking about it. And I saw this, and I didn't know what to do. Like, I was super overwhelmed. Like, where do I start? What am I supposed to be? Like, this is blinking, but then what do I write? And then I didn't do anything in the first day. And I remember the next day I came to Roam again. And so, like, let's imagine we're on March 9th. And then the date that changed on the top, and it was now March 10th. And then the next day was March 11th. I was like, what is going on? Why are these new pages being created? What am I supposed to do here? So it's very overwhelming when you first open Roam because you don't really know what to do. Now, the great thing, this is called the Daily Note. The Daily Note is a page that Roam creates every day for you with a date on top. And that's literally it. And it's the first prompt that Roam is giving you to write literally anything that you want. So tomorrow, there will be a March 11th. And so on and so forth. And you can see them here on the daily notes. It will go to this page. And if I scroll down, this is a new database that I created on the 6th of March. And so if I scroll all the way down here, I will see eventually March the 6th. So that was the first day that I created this. And here you can write literally anything. So for example, I'm going to do some journaling or some quick capture of what I'm doing. So now I am recording intro class to Roam. Right, so this is what I'm doing. And if I hit enter, it's going to create another bullet. So Roam is organized in these bullets that you see here. And in Roam language, these are actually called blocks. So each of these lines, so this is a line, is a block in Roam. And they have special characteristics. We're going to talk about those a little bit later. But all you need to know for now is all of these are blocks. And you can change the blocks, the type of blocks. It by default are bullets, but you can change them to see, for example, as a numbered list, bulleted list here. But I think that bullets really are the best that you can use. You can also see this as a document, for example. So this is a numbered document, and this is view as documents removes the bullets, or it just kind of hides them, I guess. But once you get used to the bullet lists of Rome, you kind of get used to it. And the way that I think about it now is just bullets are fine. If I need to copy this somewhere else, then I'll just do view as document. Later on, we'll talk about this. This is a block. I'm now going to create my second block. I am recording this on the 10th because yesterday I forgot to hit record on Zoom. True story. This was a live class. It lasted about an hour 10 minutes. Q&A, intro, forgot to hit record. Third block. This was because I was nervous and just jumped right into action. Cool. So now I have 3 blocks. Now the way that Rome works is that you can nest blocks under other blocks where you would call parents and children. So you'll see that all these 3 sentences are related to for intro class to Rome, which was just, let's just call it intro to Rome. So all of this is related to intro to Rome. So if I wanted here, enter, and I'll put intro to Rome. And now I have 3 information regarding the intro to Rome. And if I just select one of them, for example, this one, and I click tab, it's going to nest this under the intro to Rome. So now this, I am recording an intro to Rome, is the children of the block intro to Rome, which in this case is the parent. And if I click here, it's going to collapse this information. If I click again, it's going to expand. So now let's move all 3 of these, or actually the 2 other. Tab, once again, come here, I hit tab. And you can actually enter it anywhere. Like if you're in the middle of a sentence and you hit tab, it's also going to move it. So now I am indenting. All 3 of these belong to that. These 3 children of that intro to Rome parent. If you want to unindent, for example, this one, let's say like yesterday, I watched a football match. So this is not related to intro to Rome, so I can unindent it. And the way that I do that is by clicking Shift and Tab. Shift and Tab. And if you're here and you want to go back, you can hit enter again and Rome will actually move it back. So for example, if I was here and I did like that, I enter again, it would just go down. So here I need to unindent, but if it's a new block, empty block, twice enter, it will move the block back. Right. So let's put some information here. It was Juventus versus Porto, and then Porto won. So this was all the information about yesterday I watched the football match. So now we have 2 parents. First has 3 children, the second has 2 children. Now I can collapse them all. I can simply select them all, say collapse all, and now I have 2 information. Now, why would you want to do this? I'll give you a use case. If I'm writing an article, I'll basically outline the article first. So I'll do like, this is the intro, this is the main point 1, and then I'll have main point 2, main point 3, right? And then I have probably like argument 1, or let's just say argument, 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 and so on, right? And then I'm moving information, I'm writing information here, but sometimes I want to zone in into the main point 1. So I want to collapse that. The intro will be like hook, and then for a sentence, whatever. And I don't want to, you have a very specific or a very big document here, and I just want to do the argument 1. So now I can zone in. That's why you want to collapse. If you want to see everything, you can just quickly click expand all again, and you'll see all of it again. So that's one of the use cases. Why would you ever want to collapse and uncollapse stuff? So just click on the top of the block with your left here on the mouse, or the left, and then expand all. And that one. Right. So these are the first things that I input in Rome. So by itself, it's not very valuable because now I'm just, journaling or a little bit of a brain dump. I'm not doing anything actively with this note. This note is not connecting to anything. And so the next time we come back to this main editor, we're going to start connecting things, talk about formatting a little bit. The second thing that you see when you open Rome are two bars. You'll see the one on the left and see the one on the top. So let's talk about those. There's a third one as well that comes here on the right. So on the left, there are three things, or four, I would say. Daily notes, which basically takes you here, which has all the notes that you have. If you click on the date, so you can keep scrolling, you will keep showing because this is the daily notes. But if I click on the date here on March 10, it will zoom in on this specific note. And now you'll see that if I try to scroll, I can't because there's nothing else. This is the note of March the 10th, only the atomic note. If I go back to the daily notes, it will show me all the daily notes that I have, right? And you can see that in the third thing here saying all pages. So March the 10th, March the 6th, I think it's now organizing by last updated. Yeah, right. It's last updated. So yesterday I touched on the March the 6th, apparently last. And so that's the one before. Then you'll see the word count, basically number of words, and then you'll see mentions. Now, what does mentions mean? Mentions is you're connecting to another page somewhere. We'll come back to that, but there's some kind of relationship happening here. So for example, this page Tiago has no relationship. It has a little bit of text. If I wanted to go back, I can hit Command back to go there. If I wanted to go forward, Command forward. I can actually do that on my mouse here. That's the way I do it. But if you don't have that specific kind of thing on your mouse, that's Command back, Command forward. So all pages, daily notes, and then you have the graph overview, which is basically what I showed you here. And this is the graph for my main database. This one is quite recent. And so you'll see the connections that are made. So everything that is a dot is a page, and everything that is a line is a connection to another page. Let's see about this. So on March the 9th, I am connecting that daily note from March the 9th to a page called Arthur, which is a friend of mine. And then Arthur is connecting to four other pages: relation, Lisbon, where I met him, and date. For some reason, I did those connections. And you'll see also that Lisbon, for example, is also connecting to March the 8th. So Lisbon is connecting to March the 8th directly, and is connecting to March the 9th through the page Arthur. So you'll see that it goes from here and then it goes to there. I could also connect Lisbon to March the 9th that I wanted, but for some reason I wanted to connect the page Arthur. And the reason for that, I can open it, is that he moved to Lisbon and I decided to tag Lisbon in that space. So you'll see the more that you use Roam, the more the types of connections that you'll start to make. And the lines will indicate that. As you see here, these are, for example, the biggest clusters that I have here are the ones that are connecting to the most pages, right? Whereas, for example, this page is only connecting to that page. It's not connecting to anything else. But this one here, or that one, the big nodes are connecting to many, many pages. And it's basically the pages that you are using to connect to other things most of the time. So for example, one of them for me could be the page productivity. Everything that I think would be useful to me in terms of productivity, I connect to a specific page, which is productivity. So now I have all these other pages and all these other blocks actually connecting to pages. Right, and then you finally see shortcuts. Now shortcuts, you click on it, nothing happens, which is really weird because it should, right? Shortcuts is where you put, in short, is where you put the pages that you're gonna use the most. It's, in Notion, it's called favorite page. So for example, if I navigate to a specific page, Arthur, there will be here at the top a star. Whereas if you go to your daily notes, notice that nothing happens there. But if I zoom in on a daily note, it will show the star. And this is because here, this is all my notes, all my daily notes. But here is, double click, yeah, I got that. But here, it's only one of the daily notes, which is for March the 10th, right? So if I click favorite, it will add the page to the shortcuts if I click the star here. And now anywhere I am, so for example, let's go into the Arthur page, or yeah, Arthur, and I click March the 10th, it will navigate to that page. So you want to add to the way that I use this, to the shortcuts, is that you want to add the page that you're going to need the most, that you keep coming back to for some reason. So one of the pages that I have here, for example, is metadata, because I need to copy the things all the time. We'll talk about metadata in a second, but I have all the metadata that I can copy to my notes that I input, right? You could also have, I also have one about the weekly review. So every time I do a weekly review, there will be like a template that I want to follow, and I link to that page. And so the weekly review will always be here on the shortcuts, right? So I'm going to take it out, and that is remove page from shortcuts, and you'll see nothing is here. The second bar that you see is the top bar, which is find or create page here, and you're not sure. So it's like a search thing. And then you have filter, open graph, shortcuts, share, export, and more, and help key and documentation. So if I go to the main page daily notes, it'll show me a calendar because again, this is showing me all the daily pages. So the only thing that I want to mention here would be the search bar. If you want to type here and try to find a search bar, Arthur, it will find that page. Arthur, right there. And then there's a third sidebar, which is on the right, appears on the right. Now, what this sidebar does on the side is it opens other documents at the same time of your main workflow, of your main workspace. So for example, I'm gonna open this page, Arthur, and I click Shift and my mouse, and now it's opening that page, Arthur, on my sidebar. Actually, I have things open here from before. So now I could also like Intro to Rome is a page, so like it's empty actually. And then I have, for example, March the 9th. I could open March the 9th, which is this page. Now I'm seeing this page. If I navigate to March the 10th, I'm seeing March the 9th on the sidebar. And I'm also seeing Intro to Rome. Actually, let's close that. I'm also seeing Arthur. Now, why is this helpful? If I'm writing an article, and there's a specific topic to that article, and I want to see many other notes on my sidebar, or at the same time, I would say, I can open all of those articles on the sidebar here. And that is very helpful to me because now you have all your research on the right side and still your workspace in the middle. And what I do if I'm creating is I'll actually hide by clicking that button. You can actually hide that sidebar. I think it's Command / to do that. Command /. And now I only have, this is the piece I'm writing. This is everything that I'm referencing or research that I have. So again, to open, click Shift and then the mouse on a page that you want to open. So I'll just open this one on the sidebar and same page on the two sidebars. And if I change something here, it will change on the main editor because it's the same page. So Porto 1, or actually like Juventus 132, but Porto won, but Porto passed to the, I think it was quarterfinals, right? And now it's uploaded on both sides. Why is that? Because this page is exactly that page, or actually that page is exactly this page. And if I change here on the March the 9th, it will also update on March the 9th. So let's bring back that sidebar. Let's close that one. Let's talk about formatting, right? So you can do, as a text editor that Rome is, you can do all kinds of formatting, the same that you do on Google Docs, the same that you do on Evernote, the same that you do on Notion, and all these other text editors, right? The first thing that you can do are headers. So if this is a parent and I want to make sure that this is a header, I can click here, and then I will click H1, H2, or H3. So H1 will be a very big title, smaller and smaller. So H1, it will look like this. If I want to change, click on the block H2. And then H3, it's going to have a grayish thing, right? The command for that is you can select it all, and then you can hit Command Option 1, 2, or 3. So 1, Command Option 2, Command Option 3. Now, it only goes to H3. So for example, if you're on a WordPress or something like that, it goes to H6. On my blog, I actually just use H3, but you can only do H3 in Rome or until H3. So H1 for me will be the title of the node. So Intro to Rome here will be at H2. And so here yesterday I watched a football match. Probably wouldn't do a title, but like that would be let's just put an H3, right? So this is the first thing that you can do. And it's very helpful because now you're kind of like structuring your thoughts. Use case for this would be Intro to Rome. So now I'm recording an Intro to Rome. I'm recording because I forgot to hit record. And now let's say that I want to do something here like next time, remember to hit record or to hit screen recording on Zoom, for example, right? And now I could do like best practices, right? as practices. And this would be an H3. Oops. This would be an H3 because now, well, nest actually, because now this is underneath the intro to Rome, right? I'm still talking about Rome, just a specific part of the intro to Rome. And then this would be probably an H2. Just putting H3, actually won't use a title here. So if you want to remove the title, if you're 1, 2, or 3, you just hit Command Option and then 0. And you'll move it to back to a regular text, right? The other thing that you can do in terms of formatting is also anything that you want to bold, italicize, or highlight. So for example, let's say I wanted to do hit screen recording on Zoom. I hit Command B and it will show these 2 asterisks here in the beginning and the end. And if you escape that block, you'll see that it's now bolded, right? This is sort of a markdown kind of thing that you want to use. You could also write if you want, but like that, do the same thing, but it's basically Command B, just like in any other editor. If you wanted to italicize, let's just say right into action, Command I. It puts these 2 underscores, I guess you call it, and you'll see that it's italicized. But you can also do like zoom here, use italics, and then you'll be bolded and italic. The third thing that I use sometimes is highlights. So let's say I do that. I hit Command H and you'll see these 2 little hats, don't know the name of this, and it will highlight, I forgot to hit record on Zoom. The way that I use this, now why are these things important? Because it's gonna make your notes more readable. Now, of course, I have a very small note, I'm not doing a lot of stuff, but once you have thousands and thousands of notes, sometimes you wanna very quickly understand what that note is about. And when you open and you see a highlight, that is the indication from Daniel from the past to Daniel from the future, that was the most important part of that note, because the italics really pops into your eye, right? When you open a note and you see italics, boom. And so I look at the highlights. I mean, I look at the highlights in a way that I'm calling out the most important part. Normally, what I do is if I have a note about a specific thing, like a note about my pen, right? My Uniball pen. This pen, I really like it, blah, blah, blah. And then at the top, I would just write something like, I like the Uniball because of A, B, and C. And then I would highlight that note. I would highlight that block or that specific part to know when I opened the note Uniball, it would just show me the most important things that at that time I thought about the Uniball. So that's the way that I use highlights and bolded, to just call out the most important parts. And in a way, also headers, that's the same thing. By formatting in different ways, it's very easy to me later on when I'm discovering a note again to see what was the most important thing. And this is very good because, again, if you have an article and you need to reference, I don't know, 50 papers or something like that, you can very quickly distill what the most important ideas are and then quickly decide if you want to continue looking into that note and seeing if you want to, read more. So it's going to save you a lot of time. So that's the way that I use highlights, bold, italics, all of that, just to call out information to me, right? So headers, text, you can see all of those key commands. And again, I just know just a few key commands in Rome by clicking the question mark here, help key commands and documentation. So if I open, it's a little bit buggy here, so I gotta put my screen. Actually, let's do 175, and then it has the basics, so like create a new page, bring up the commands, reference, create a new page, and then you have all the formatting. So like bold, as I told you, Command B, Command I for italics, strike through, don't use that much. Highlights, also how to link, which is Command K. Latex, heading, something like that. Navigating, blocks, you have the sidebar here. So like, where are we? Toggle the left sidebar. So it's the one that I just used was Command \, and then the one on the right will be Command /. Open page, Shift click, like I told you. Open link in sidebar, Command Shift O, appearance, all of this. Now I need to go to 110 to escape because it doesn't allow me at 175. So if I do Command \, it will just toggle that for example. And then the other one was that one. So if I do that, it has a command in Chrome, so it doesn't recognize it, but brings up the right side. So it's very useful if you want in the beginning to just write key commands of Rome that you're going to use the most, and you can pin it that page on the shortcuts here because you're going to reference it many times. So now we're talking about creating something new, which is a new page for key commands. So how do we do and how do we create a new page in Rome? That's what we're going to talk about right now. There are a couple of ways of creating a new page. The first one is going into the Finder create page, right? And then hit that. And then let's call it keyboard shortcuts for Rome, right? And now you see that Rome is prompting me here saying new page keyboard shortcuts for Rome because this page doesn't exist. So if I just do Rome, it will find other things like Intro to Rome, Rome 1 Live Workshop, Research Class, Key Commands. But it doesn't show, there's no page called actually Rome, and I could create that page, but then it finds other things. It also finds blocks specifically. So these are pages, these three are pages, these are blocks, right? So I go to the search bar, command U to do that, by the way. Key commands that I use in Rome. Keyboard shortcuts, I want it. Keyboard shortcuts for Rome. Now if I enter, it's going to create that page. So there's a new page here in my database, and you'll see it's not connected to anything, so it's there. You'll see there's no connections because I haven't written anything on it. So actually I created that page yesterday. So key commands that I use in Rome, right? So I use formatting, headers. So for headers, for example, we have command option 1 for header 1, change the number for header 2 and header 3, text, bold, it, command B. So now I have a page, right? The key commands, and I can favorite that page here. And now I always see it there. So if I go to my daily node and let's say I wanted to highlight this, it's like, I couldn't remember. You could go there, but there's lots of things here. Now I just save the ones that I use the most. So I say, oh, italics, command H. So I go back. All right, Juventus Porto, go into that block, command H. Now I've highlighted that piece of text, right? So that is literally the first page that you're creating, key commands that I use in Rome. Now let's say that that page was created today, and now I can link to that page. So I'm going to say, I just created a new page called key commands that I use in Rome. And I'm just literally writing. It's not linked. You'll change the color in Rome when you're linking. But if I go into that page, you'll see here on link references. And Rome will actually understand that on March 10th, you wanted to reference this page, but it's unlinked. It's called an unlinked reference. A link reference will have a different color. But you didn't do anything with it. There's no connection in Rome. And you can actually link it by clicking here. So if I click here, link, I think it's double click. Right. Now it is connected. So this page, March the 10th, is referencing this one. And also key commands is referencing March the 10th because Rome has bidirectional linking. So let's look at that in the graph overview. So key commands that I use in Rome is connected to March the 10th, and March the 10th is connected to key commands that I use in Rome. So if I go into March the 10th, you'll see that the color has changed, and there are these two weird square brackets here on the side that indicate that there is a connection between this page and that page. And if I remove these, you'll see again, and I go to the page, it will show unlinked again. Now, it would be great if you could just go into all the pages and click link, but it's a little bit easier in Rome to actually select all of it and then just do double brackets. And because it found that page, you can just link it like that. So now you've created your first link without going to a second page. Now the ones that you want to use are the square brackets. For me, this is option, I believe, option 8. So you'll see it here. Let's see if I can, no, I can't. Option 8 will show me the square bracket. I believe that in the American keyboard is option, no, just these ones here are the square brackets. right? But for me, it's called Portuguese keyboard is Option 8. And you'll see actually that if you select all of it and you hit Option 8 once, which is just the back one, not the front one, it will actually create both, right? It has created both. And again, it has created both. I'll show you this in a new block. I'm hitting once and it creates and closes, opens and closes, and then opens and closes again. And now this gives us a little bit of insight on how to connect pages in Roam, right? Because now this is connecting to that page. But what if that page doesn't exist and I want to create a new page? Let's call this new page like Champions League matches, right? Or Champions League actually. Yesterday I watched a football match for Champions League. And I want this to be a new page. So every time I watch, let's say, a Champions League game, I want to have the game and the date that I watched in there. It's just a page populating all the games that I watched and probably with friends. Which friends did I watch that game with? So now if I click Option 8 twice, Roam is trying to search for a page, but it doesn't find anything. It doesn't. You'll see there's no text here. So if I go into the search bar and I do the same, so Champions League, you'll see that it doesn't find anything. Yes, it finds the two blocks. Later today I'm watching Champions League. This was from yesterday. And yesterday I watched a match for Champions League. And it's now prompting me to create a page here because it doesn't find that page. But you can actually create pages within the editor. So if you do Option 8 twice, it now begins a new page. And if you click on it, this is a page called Champions League. So I've created a new page magically through my text editor. So the first way to do it, to create new pages, is through the search bar here, find or create a new page. If it has a page already exists already, you can just link or you can just find it. But because there was no page, you can create from that. The second way is by inserting some sort of text and then using the double squares, brackets. So let's do zoom, right? So let's remove all the formatting here. We don't need it anymore. And now I want to link zoom. So I want to like a new page for zoom for some reason. So I hit Option 8 twice, search for a page, doesn't have it. So I'm going to just keep scrolling. And now you'll see that zoom is a new page. So Roam has actually created a new page for zoom. And now it is linking to that specific part where you said, yes, I'm linking to there. Next time, remember to hit screen recording in Zoom or on Zoom. So these are the ways that you can create new pages. And you'll see again that all these relationships are happening and Roam is automatically creating them for you. So for example, Zoom and Champions League, the two pages that I created, are connecting now to March the 10th. And if I create a new page or if I do a new relationship on Champions League anywhere on other date, it will show the same. So for example, on March the 9th, so yesterday when I was doing this live, later today I'm watching Champions League. So I'm going to connect that as well to that page. And if I go here, you'll see that Champions League now connects to March the 9th and March the 10th. And this is all done automatically by Roam, not Zoom. Everything is done automatically by Roam. All the connections, which is truly great. So why would you want to create new pages and why do you want to tag these things and everything? So again, it is to promote discovery. And there are two schools of thoughts when it comes to how much should you tag, how much should you link, versus when should you do it. So the first school of thought is basically you should try to link as much as possible and you should try to do it when you're inputting a note. So for example, if you're moving an article from, let's say, Medium and you're putting it in Roam, you should try to massively tag everything that one day you think it's going to be helpful, right? So if you're like tagging productivity, maybe this is a good idea for this, maybe this is a good idea for that. So tag all the way as much as you can in the beginning when you're doing the note. And the reasoning for that is it's going to be helpful a lot later for discovery. The second school of thought is you should do minimal tagging and only tag when you need the note. Because Roam, again, even if you don't link stuff, so like I forgot to hit record on Zoom, if I go on the page in Zoom, there's an link references, which is I forgot to hit record. So basically the reasoning here is you don't really need to tag anything, because even without tagging or without linking, as Rome calls it, Rome will still find the link reference. And we'll just call it unlinked, and then you can link it. Now, the reasoning for this school of thought is you're not wasting time that you could be just putting more notes into all this meta work of tagging and linking and stuff, because Rome will also find it. But I think sometimes if you just use a different word to mention it, so for example, if you just hear, I forgot to hit record. So if you just phrase it differently, right? If I forgot to hit record on the call and you don't call it Zoom, now it is not connected on March the 9th because you didn't use the keyword Zoom, which is the word of the page, the title of the page that Rome is actually looking for. So for me, if you don't use the specific word and Rome doesn't find it, I mean there's some sort of work that is wasted there. So we have these two schools of thought. Good things, bad things. The way that I fall is just right on the middle, which is I think you should actually tag some of the note when you input the note, but then you shouldn't over tag, and you shouldn't even over format and stuff like that. So yes, you should actually just go into the note when you want to do some work on the note or you want to use it for something else, but not overextend yourself and tag and tag and tag and hit all these tags that you want. So I fall a little bit on the middle. So for you, just find whatever works best for you in terms of how many tags you want to add to a specific node. So that is it about the two schools of thought, I guess. The second thing that the second way that you can link nodes are by using, instead of double square brackets, are by using hash. Now hash is very interesting because, for example, if I try to tag Zoom, so let's remove that, and I just use hash, which for me is Shift-3, it will still connect to that page. So if I go here next time, hit to remember to hit screen, it's here on the link references. And then but if I do this on the Champions League, if I delete here, hash, now Rome is just connecting the word champions. So it's no longer connecting the word Champions League. Let's go into our graph to see that. You see champions, and there's another page called Champions League. So actually Rome created automatically, because of using the hash, a new page, and it's just called champions. So now there are two pages actually, champions and Champions League. Now, why is that? The reason for that is you can only link with the hash if you're using just one word. So for Zoom works because it's just one word, but for Champions League it doesn't because it's two words. So here you would actually need, if you're actually trying to link to Champions League, you would need, you need two square brackets because you want to link both words. The only difference apart from the word count, so with hash you can only link one word, and for more you need square brackets, is just to see things differently on your text. You'll notice that the hash is kind of grayish, whereas the double bracket is kind of blue, and the blue pops to the eye a lot more. And so sometimes you don't want that to happen, and you can push and you can put a hash just behind Champions League there, and it will turn it into gray. So now you're using both hash and double brackets. Double brackets are linking to that specific page because it's two words, and then the hash is putting it to gray. Now, why would you want this? Sometimes you want to use a tag that calls out that you see it on the page, like key commands that I use in Rome. That's a blue that I want to see, because the blue is way more visible than the gray. But other times you want to use a keyword, or you want to use a link that you don't really want to see that much. It doesn't add that much to the text, specifically if you're just doing it at the end of a sentence and you're not including the word on that sentence, and then you just want to put that word in there so Rome recognizes. So for example, next time, remember to hit screen recording. So if this was the end of my sentence here, I didn't mention Zoom, but I want this block here to connect to Zoom. And so here I would probably write just Zoom, right? And now I'm not seeing, I could even remove that actually. I'm not seeing zoom so much when I look at my screen, but I know that if I go into the page zoom, it will be connected to that, right? Why? Because I was not writing in line. So if I was just ending the sentence there. This one here, for example, is in line. Yesterday I watched a football match for Champions League. So this is very much in line. It's part of my sentence. I could put it in blue, but I could also, if I didn't want to see it anymore, just remove that and it's just gonna gray. So that's the second difference between hash and double square brackets to connect pages. Right. And then probably this one, I want to use the key commands. I want to see it. Right. So we talk about formatting, headers, new pages, squares, ifs. Let's talk about to-dos. Just to recap all this, let's just talk about to-dos. So Roam allows you to use to-dos very easily. Let's create a new to-do here. So create a checklist for live workshops, I guess. Create a checklist for live workshops recording. So yesterday I forgot to press record. And now I want to do like sort of a to-do so I don't forget that the next time I want to use kind of a checklist to make sure that everything is recording so I don't really mess up again. So I want to do this as a to-do. What you can do, I'm just going to delete, just Command X, is just you can do slash, so, and Roam will show you all these commands. So you have page reference, so you can actually do page reference like that if you want. But alias, date picker, today, tomorrow, italics, so on. The first one is to do. So I'm going to click that. Now you'll see there's sort of a to-do thing here. Another way to do this, easier, is just Command Enter, and it's a new to-do. And you'll see it here. This is a new to-do. If you want to mark it as completed, you could do that. Remove. Or you could be on the block and just hit Command Enter again, and it will change it to done, right? If you hit Command Enter again, it will remove the to-do. The great thing about doing this, so Command Enter, you'll just change it. So this is a to-do. The great thing about this is that Roam creates a to-do page automatically, which is this page. So let's put this in our favorites. And now let's use our trick. Let's open this on the side. This is the main page. So this is our to-do page. And why is that? Because here you'll see double brackets. And by now you should know that this is now linking to a page, right? And the name of that page is to-do. And so the page in Roam is also called to-do, all in caps. And so here what you can see in the link references, I go to the to-do page, I have created a checklist for live workshop recordings, right? It's in the link references. And everything that shows here, so this was copied from some other day, but everything that's here are the to-dos that I still have to do, right? If I click here, mark it as done on create a checklist for live workshops recording, it will disappear from the to-do because it's no longer to-do, right? And what do you think it went? If I go into my Nelly note again, you'll see that it's done instead of to-do. If I actually write to-do here, it will still change it. But now that I marked as done, there's probably a page called done. Let's check that. Yes, there is. Add it to the sidebar. So let's open it here. And you'll see done. Create a checklist for live workshops recording. It's on the done page. If I remove here, it will go back to the to-do page. Let's go there. It's here again. So why is this helpful? Because now you have a page of all the to-dos that you still need to do on the dates that you thought they were very good to do. And then you have a done page. So for example, if you're doing some sort of a weekly review, you can go into the to-dos and say, okay, I still have to do this next week or next project or stuff like that. And then you can go into the done and say, okay, what did I actually accomplish this week? They will all be in the done page. And you can also do reminders of the to-dos, and this is probably the feature that I use the most in terms of to-dos, of something out of a task that you want to do in the future. So for example, I don't want to create today, right now, a checklist for live workshops recording. And I'm probably going to say use this checklist on the next live workshop, right? And actually, I'm just going to create here a checklist for live workshop. Now I'm going to nest two of these because they relate to that topic. And I'm going to probably want to do this as an H3, right? And then these are two to-dos. So I'm going to do like that. So I'm going to create a checklist for live workshops. I'm going to say I want to do this tomorrow. And now you can write in natural language by hitting /tomorrow. You'll see today, tomorrow. And Rome will automatically tag it with March the 11th. So tomorrow when I go and open Rome and I see March the 11th on my daily note, there will be a reminder of this to do. And we can actually see it right now because I can navigate to future daily notes. So if I go here and I click tomorrow there'll be one link reference, which is this one. So the way that I use this is like this. I'll have a thought of something small that I need to do. And I link it to the date that I think it's gonna either be valuable or the date that I wanna do it. So this one is a date that I wanna do it in. If it's a big thing, I will create space in my calendar. I will book it like a place and a time and location in my calendar. But if it's a small thing like this one, or if it's something that I need to ask someone else to do or something like that, I will just link it in Rome to that specific day because I don't need it to occupy space on my calendar. And I also don't want it to occupy space on my mind. So that's the first way that I use it. The second way is to bring an idea of something that I need to use in the future. And that will be use this checklist. So I can do /, and now I don't want to use tomorrow. I want to use a very future date. And the way to do that is / and hitting date. And we'll show date picker. You hit enter, and now you have a calendar. So probably the next workshop that I want to do, I was thinking this yesterday, it's probably going to be on probably the 19th, on a Friday. I want to do weekly reviews in Rome. So don't know, but let's just say that's the one. So I hit the 19, right? And now I have a date, March the 19th, where I'm going to be reminded of this. And so I can actually navigate again. So March 19th, you can always navigate to the notes in the future that you're tagging. So somewhere I tagged March the 12th. Yeah, okay. But here, March the 19th. And so there are one to do that I used as an example yesterday, and then use this checklist on the next live workshop, March the 19th. And that was a reminder from March the 10th. And that's the two ways that I use to-dos. And then when I completed them, I can just put there, and I can see it in my done task. And I use that for the weekly review, for example. But this, something small, otherwise calendar, this, something big, or something that I want to remember in the future to use. So like kind of a reminder to myself. If it's a big reminder, again, we'll go into my calendar. But if it's a small reminder, that's the one that I use. And so, yeah, that's the two ways that I use to-dos. I think you can manage all your productivity, all your work here inside Rome. I don't use it that way, or at least now I don't use it that way. But I think it's very valuable that you can use this for these two use cases, right? The last thing that I want to talk about is how to reference blocks inside Notion pages. So for example, let's say that I wanted to, let's open the key commands that I use here on the side, right? And let's hide that one. So now we just have March 10 and key commands that I use in Rome. And let's say that I wanted to reference a key command here on the side, command option 1, right? So I wanted to reference this block there. Now the way that you normally do in any text editor is you would come here, click this, and copy there, right? Now what is the problem with this is if I write here, it doesn't change it. You see, I wrote it here, but nothing happened on that block. And there, I want it to be the same block. And this is so powerful in Rome because you can actually reference blocks in Rome. If you click there and you say copy block ref, you will copy it to here. And you'll see that Rome gives you kind of a serial number. I would like to call it a serial number. And so now this block is referencing that block. And this block is being referenced here. Now bear with me for a second. You see this number 1 here? This number 1 that wasn't here before is saying that this block is being referenced somewhere else at least once. Or at least once? No, exactly once. And that is there. If I click again, copy on block ref, and I copy the block again, you'll change it to a 2 because now there are two nodes in Rome that are referencing this block. And now watch what happens. If I change something here, see how it changes and see how it changes there. So now every time I update the master block, the original block, let's call it, it changes on all the other blocks that are referencing it. Now, very interesting to do as well is, for example, if you're trying to reference this block, so you copy block ref and you copy it here, a 1 will appear here, but that it didn't change it to a 3. And you would think that would change it to a 3 because you're copying the same block. But not really, because you're now copying a copy of the block. So the original gives a copy, and then you're copying that copy. So obviously this one is referencing this one, and this one is referencing that one. This and this are referencing that one, which gives you the number 2. And this one is only referencing that one. And you can see this because the block here is UW9, but this one is not UW9, it has a different serial number. So you always want to copy the original block. And the way to do that very quickly is if you click there, it will actually go jump to block, and you can see what's the actual block that you're using. Another way that you can do this with your keyboard is by using, I believe this option. Yeah, option. So option click, and then let's use another block for now because I'm tired of this block. So let's use both, right? So if you option and drag it from that block to here, for example, you'll see there's a reference. And now you don't have to do 1 click, 2 click, copy, 3 clicks. A little bit annoying. When you have lots of information, like you just want to do like that. You just want to drag, like here's italics, boom, italics is there. Oh, you want to highlight, boom, italics is there. Highlight is there. And you can also copy entire block. So if you wanted that entire block, you can just drag it here, and you'll see that it's not referencing the entire block. Copy block ref. And now, why is there? Because now you need to reference the children, right? So this block only copied the main block, which is literally text. But now you want all the children. What you can do, click here, apply children, and then you can either apply as text, and if you apply as text, if you change on one side, it won't change on this, or you can apply as reference, which is basically the same. So reference, if I here I put command +1, look how it changes there. If I apply this on the contrary, just go back. If I apply it as a reference, sorry, as a text, and here I change it to command 1, it will change there because that one is referenced, but this one is not referenced. So it's very dangerous that you do this because you might be updating the same text in different things, but not referencing the text. So for me, you always kind of want to reference the children, apply the children as reference. Boom. And now you're referencing the entire block. You can even do this one, right? Just option, move it here. There you go, formatting. Oh, you want to apply the children as reference? No problem. Here's everything that you wrote. You want to keep the formatting. I think there's kind of a way that you can do this. Copy this reference. You want to apply the formatting, and now because it's a block, you can change it around. It still works as text. So this header 2, Z3. But most of the times, the way that you're gonna be using this is just trying to reference a couple of things that you have in papers, that you have in articles, and that you have in other stuff to reference here for research and then rewrite. So the most of the ways that I use this is, okay, there's a couple of sentences or a couple of arguments in this piece that I want to use for my main piece, but obviously I don't want to copy it. So I want to either think of other words that I can use or think of a way to make the argument stronger by connecting different pieces. And again, that is the true power of Rome, because now you're connecting all these sources. There you see a bunch of numbers here. So actually let's delete all of that, all these references here. And now it's just open again. Let's bring back the sidebar. Right, and I think that's everything that you need on Intro to Rome. We learned about formatting, we learned about daily note, we learned about inputting, headers, key commands, the sidebars, create new pages, linking pages by using hashes or double brackets for more than one word, and also how to create your first page, which was the Champions League, the key commands that I use. We talked about to-dos, create a checklist, date futures, the to-do and the done that Rome automatically creates. And we also talked about how to reference blocks. So just by having a little bit of this understanding of the basics of Rome, you already know most of what I do is based on all of these commands. So there's not a lot more that I use in Rome. Again, you can do a lot more in Rome, but I don't find it very useful to know things or to learn things that I'm not going to use for my specific use case. And if your ultimate goal is to have Rome as a tool for output, for something that you create, if you want to use it as a Zettelkasten that is going to create some sort of output, either that's productivity or as writing scripts or writing articles or writing even private stuff for yourself, these are all the shortcuts, everything, formatting of everything that you need to know basically to use Rome in that use case so that it helps you to produce output. I hope that you liked it. Next time I'll remember to hit record on the main live workshop. And thank you so much for being here. I'll see you on the next time. Bye-bye.